Achanta. Namanmohabdhaye namaha. Anantananda Krishnaya Jaganmangalamurtaye Ahamasmi sada bhami Kadachinnaahamapriyaha Brahmaivahamatassiddham Satchidananda Lakshanam Mayyevo dedi chidvyomni Jagat Gandharvapattanam Atoham na katam brahma Sarvajñam sarvakaranam. So the objection, the verse, after the first verse which was a prayer, the second verse which is the verse which deals with the topic, that verse tells that I am Brahman. Brahman is Satyam, Satchidanandam, Brahma. Satchidananda Lakshanam, Brahma. The Brahman which is existence without being a thing that exists, which is existence as such, and which is nothing but awareness. Then you may ask, is there such thing as existence, which is awareness? Therefore, the content of that existence is awareness, and which is anantam, which is limitless. So time-wise, space-wise, and also object-wise, it is not one thing, it is not one of the things in the world, it is that thing because it is satyam, and therefore it is anantam, limitless. So the limitless Satchidanandam Brahma, limitless Brahman, I am. For the reason that he gave, Ahamasmi sada bhami kadachinnaahamapriyaha. That is the reason. So because the aham, the I, happens to be awareness, and it is not subject to change, etc. Therefore, if Brahman is defined as Satchidanandam, I am that Brahman. Because I am Satchidananda, this was said. For which an objection was raised. How can I be Brahman? Because Brahman, not only it is Satchidananda, but also it is the cause for the entire creation, both efficient and material cause. How can I be both efficient and material cause of this entire world? So after all, I am an individual. Now when this question is asked, well, it is not true because, so you are referring again the I as the physical body and mind, then only ask the question, how can I be Brahman? I say, I is, just now in the first verse it was proved, Satchidanandam Brahma. It is Satchidanandam Brahma which is the cause for the entire creation. Therefore, I am Brahman. When I say entire creation, includes your body and mind too. Therefore, you can say, I am Brahman. In Brahman, me alone, this entire Jagat Gandharva Pattanam. Because Atma, Brahman is Atma which is Brahman. I that is Brahman is Satyam. And everything else being Mithya, the creation being Mithya, it cannot be away from you. That's what he points out here. So, Mayyeva Udedi Chid Vyomni. Chit Vyomni. In the space that is awareness, space is an example. So like space, the awareness. So the awareness which is like space. So in the space awareness, they combine the illustration and the subject matter. And so in the awareness that is space, okay, means in the space that is awareness, or in the space awareness, Chidvyomni. Okay, what happens? So what is that? Mayi eva Chidvyomni. Mayi eva, me, in me, Atmani, in Atma that is me. Chidvyomni, which is awareness like space. Why it is like space? Formless, limitless, pure. And in this Chidvyomni Mayyeva, Udeti. Udeti means rises. Rises. What rises? Jagat Gandharva Pattanam. Jagat Gandharva Pattanam means Gandharva Pattanam is a particular expression. So Gandharva Pattanam, Pattanam means city. Gandharva Pattanam means a celestial city. A celestial city, you imagine, suppose, as children we all used to imagine, so there is a body of clouds. And so at one place it is very thick black clouds. In another place it is not that thick, it's a little different. And so the color difference is there. And so the form also is different. So you can imagine anything. You can imagine a fort. We all used to imagine fort, elephants and horses and men sitting on the elephants. And all this is what we call Gandharva Pattanam, Jagat Gandharva Pattanam. So you see that there. And the whole thing is hanging in what? In space alone. The whole thing is in space. And without space there is no such thing as Jagat Gandharva Pattanam. So the various things that you see in the sky, they are all imagined. That Gandharva Pattanam is imagined by you, in the name and form imagined by you. Similarly here, so in Brahman, from the standpoint of Brahman, everything being mithya, whether it is Lord's creation or your creation, all the creations, imaginations are known to you through a means of knowledge. From the absolute Brahman standpoint, everything has its being in Brahman alone, nothing that is away from it. And therefore it is mithya. So in mithya he points out, Jagat Gandharva Pattanam Udeti, the city of the celestials, so which is called the world Jagat. This Jagat, the world Udeti, rises, Mayi eva, in me Brahman alone, Chid Vyomni, in the space of awareness. And therefore, how can you say Ataha, therefore, Katham, how, Aham, Sarvajnam, Sarvakaranam, Brahman. How can you say that I am not that Brahman which is omniscient and also cause for everything, Sarvakaranam, both efficient and material cause for the entire creation? How can I be not that Brahman? Because, so I am Sarvakaranam, I am Sarvajnam, Sarvakaranam. Then they will say, how can you be omniscient? You are not omniscient. You are only a limited fellow. You have got only limited knowledge. This is called Hare Krishna. So you got only limited knowledge. You are not Ishvara. It's not. Then again you are shifting the I. Okay? When you address me, how can you be you limited fellow? I say, just now it was proved in the first verse that I am Brahman. It is proved Atma is Brahman. That Brahman is Satchidananda. That Ishvara, the Lord, is nothing but Brahman. For the entire mithya creation, there is a mithya Lord. The Lord has his being in Brahman. Suppose I call God and then ask him, hey, who are you? I ask God. Then God appears and then he appears before me. Of course, I can invoke him in any form. And he can oblige me also to appear in that same form. And he appears in that form. Well, devotee, what do you want? Please, Bhakta, what do you want? Hey, devotee, what do you want? And I say, you tell me, who are you? He says, I am God. Oh, you are God. Then I am God, he says. Then I ask him, what is this I? You say, I am God. What kind of I you have got? He says, Satchidanandam Advayam Brahma. He has to say the same thing. He cannot say anything else. What can he say? I am Brahma. When he says, I am God, then I ask him, what is that I? I is Satchidanandam Brahma. That I is consciousness, awareness, limitless, and that which always is, and that is indeed I am. But that I am also, you said you are God. Well, you are God, I am Brahman, I am God with reference to the whole creation. I am God. Then, who am I? You are also God. How can I be God? How can I be God? Put the I in Brahman. Put the I in Brahman, then Brahman is God, therefore I am God. It is exactly like the wave and ocean confronting each other. So the wave sitting on the ocean, born of ocean, sustained by the ocean, going back to the ocean, this wave So he is saying to the ocean, so you are God, I am a wave, I am a citizen, or I'm a created being, an individual. Then what? Then there is a teaching is, there is a teaching for the waves, there is a teaching. And the teaching is, you are God, Tattvamasi. You are God, the ocean. How can I be God, the ocean? Motion is something that has been there for before even I came, and that is mighty, glorious, omnipotent, omniscient and all that. So how can I be that ocean? So there is ocean of difference between me and the ocean. How can I be? It's not ocean of difference, little less I tell you. But anyway, there is an ocean of difference between me and that ocean. How can I be ocean? Then he was told, I is nothing but H2O. Brahman, ocean says, all right, I am ocean. When the ocean says, I am is nothing but H2O. I am a wave, H2O. Wavelet, H2O. All of them H2O only. But now there is a father wave, there is a mother wave, there is a sister wave, there is a husband wave, there is a wife wave. All that you can relate, it's all easy. So among waves, all these relationships and then frictions and tensions and laughter, everything goes on. And now there is another wave, there is a tycoon wave. You know tycoon? So that fellow, he swallows all other waves and becomes a big wave. Big wave. So one can be a big wave, is a breaker wave, he breaks the necks of all other waves and swallows all other small waves and grows bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Wow. Finished again. So good for a surfer for half a minute. Then afterwards that is also over. It's also anitya. Therefore, as long as you are a wave, you have a problem. Now, therefore, someone said there is no way of solving the problem. However big you become, you will be still a wave. And so, I tell you, then all other waves will wave goodbye to you one day. And so, there is no way of your solving the problem unless you know what you are. Who am I? You are H2O, Satchidananda. That's why three things are required. So here, so 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen, that is exactly what you are, H2O, Satchidananda, that's what you are. And thus when it was told, that wave realized, I am water. Then he said, Brahman is the cause for everything. Brahman, you are Brahman, it was told. What is Brahman? Brahman is H2O. If I am H2O, then Brahman is H2O, fine. But Brahman is the cause for the entire creation. Brahman is God. Ocean, I am only a wave. Now that fellow says, no. In you, water alone is the entire creation. Even ocean has its being in you. Is it not true? Even the ocean has its being in you. The wave also has its being in you. And if you look at the ocean as a wave, you will find there is a difference. I am a wave, this is ocean. There is no problem. There is no problem. But the division you can never resolve unless you find something common between the two. Any resolution has to take place. Only in the common between the two, if there is something common, that alone will resolve the duality. And fortunately there is such a common entity, such as the water, and therefore, so wave is but water, ocean is but water, and therefore God, ocean too, is nothing but water. And if you recognize the fact I am water, then you can say, I am the ocean. You can definitely say. If there is a Hare Krishna wave there, we'll laugh and tell you, this fellow says he's ocean, I know his horoscope, only the other day, only a few minutes before he was born, and the fellow is going to die now, he says, I am the ocean. Look, look, this fellow is a bit sandwiched between two waves, he's a samsari, he says the ocean. That is because he doesn't understand what I say. And therefore I don't place the I in a given body and mind when I say I am the whole creation. Understand now? So I am Satchidananda Madvayam Brahman. Brahman alone is Ishvara. God means God is the creation. There is nothing away from that. God is not another guy. If it is another guy only, it is a problem. So God is the creation. If God is the creation, and the whole creation is in Satchidananda Madvayam Brahma, in awareness, which is existence. Therefore, I am Brahman. Sarvajnam, Sarvakaranam, omniscient, and the cause for everything. Okay. Now he says, Naswat, then there is a problem here, we'll see that. Naswatah pratyabhijnanat viramshatvan nachanyataha nachashraya vinashan me vinashasya dhanashrayat naswatah pratyabhijnanat niramshatvan nachanyataha nachashraya vinashan me vinashasya dhanashrayat. One more objection. Every verse is an answer to an objection. So we have to find the objection. That's where the teaching comes in. The objection is clear here. The objection is, Brahman is presented as Nityam, Sarvagatam, Susukshmam. Nityam, eternal. Brahman is eternal. You know eternal? Eternal means it is not non-eternal. That's all what we know about. And so it is eternal, not bound by time, etc. So it is not subject to time or change. It is eternal, Nityam, Sarvagatam, Susukshmam. Thus the Brahman is presented as something that is not subject to death, etc. Change, modification, metamorphosis, etc. Brahman metamorphosed into the world. Like that, people, they won't will talk like that. And so he, because he likes the word metamorphose. Brahman is homogeneous. This is another thing, because he likes homogeneous, not knowing what it is another. So it's all problem. Anyway, so this is all words. Words, love big words without knowing what they are. Without knowing what they are, you love big words. The homogeneous experience and all that. So now, that is abuse of words. They don't know what they talk. Anyway, here Brahman is eternal, it is said, Satyam, it is Jnanam, Anantam. That Anantam indicates Satyam, Anantam Satyam. It exists all the time, eternally that which exists. And therefore, how can I be that Brahman which is defined as eternal in the scriptures, and I see myself non-eternal, I am bound to change all the time, so I change, my mind changes, my body changes, everything about me changes. How can I be that eternal Brahman? I am a mortal. Understand now the question is where the I is now? So the I is somewhere lost in the stomach, so in the thought or somewhere. So we keep all the I all the time, the I there, and then ask a question. How can I be Brahman? You understand this? How can questions arise? Because the very teaching is undermined. The teaching is the I is Brahman. And this fellow says, how can I be Brahman? I say, now the teaching is the I, what you think as I is not I, that I is Brahman. Now this fellow says, how can I be Brahman? That means he didn't understand either Brahman. If he has understood Brahman, he won't ask, how can I be Brahman? If he has understood I as Brahman, he won't ask this question, how can I be Brahman? But then people do ask. That means the teaching doesn't really go in. It takes, something happens here. It is so simple. Perhaps it is so simple that way people don't understand. And because you look for something very big. And so you want something because, so adhikasya adhikam palam. This is one old argument. This is called kitchen logic. Suppose if you if you cook 1 kilo, then you will have only that much. Then if you cook 2 kilos, you will have that much. And so if 100 people have to be fed, you cook more. And so if I have to become Brahman, I should do something. I have to stand on one leg. This is the tapas. Really, this is the tapas. You say, stand on one leg. And then always remind and or sit in meditation without winking. I have to conduct, I have to continue with my lecture. Anyway, my class. Otherwise I can go ahead, I tell you, for hours I can do that. No problem. It's all easy, it's nothing. You don't require to be enlightened for that. You should know only how to just keep the eyes open and without winking. Some practice you require. One good thing in the West I have found out, this is a very good thing. In India they don't do this. See what the parents say, you always talk to the other person, see the person and talk. Don't they say? The parents, I don't know, at least some people told me like that. We were told like, generally you see always look at the other fellow's eyes and talk. Okay? Don't just talk this way, looking at this side, looking at that side. No, look at the person in his face and talk. This is a very beautiful advice. It's a very good thing. And because, so that makes you face situations. And so you are not ducking anywhere, nor you are afraid of anything. It's very important that you tell the children also, look at a person and talk. Don't look away and talk. That's all some problem, that's all complex. And so look at the person straight into his eyes and talk. It's good, it is. So don't try to hypnotize a fellow. That's not the point. Just be free. And look, no, don't look like this and talk also. And so they will think that in your previous janma you are a vulture. And so I mean, understand what I'm telling. So this is it's easy that just look like that. Because there are people I've seen in Rishikesh, one fellow, what he does is, there is a row of fellows sitting there, so with a small cloth spread in front of and each one is a sadhu, and differently dressed of course, and each one fellow puts ashes all over, he has got only a loin cloth, another fellow has got another type of dress, and one fellow has got jata. Jata, you know, the hair is all matted hair, and it is all made into a big thing like this. You know. Once upon a time there was a hairdo like that. And so he puts all from India. So he puts it like this and make a big vertical bun. And so he makes it like that, and then he sits there like a small little hillock on his head. And so it's a one particular called jata. So he is jata. Another fellow has got hanging jata. Another fellow has got nail growing up to this point. And so thus you find varieties of forms of sadhus you will find. And one of them is he puts ashes all over the body. These ashes were meant originally against frostbite. And because in winter, you know, you have this frostbite, and then therefore they put these ashes all over so that they keep the skin so against this frost. That's the kind of the medicine for that. So anyway, so these ashes he puts on, it became a particular form of sadhu. It's okay, he puts on this white, and he has got all face also is white, it's all white ashes, and eyes are red, and you can see the red eyes, and sits there right in front of him. Is a spread of the piece of cloth, and means he is begging. He wants you to throw something. Now the people come, lot of people come. It's called a place called Lakshman Jula, and then they cross the bridge. And before you cross the bridge, you find one type of beggars, so lepers and all that. And you cross the bridge, you find these sadhus sitting in a row. And this one person has his eyes always open and straight. he gets more money. Do you know why? They think he's a Mahatma. He's a sadhu, enlightened sadhu. So he's the prajna. Because his eyes are very steady and he doesn't look this side or that side. He must be in samadhi. That they give more money to him. People, even in India, people don't know what it is all about. And so this, they don't think that all of them know. Even sadhus do not know what to talk of people. And so the ignorance is all over. Anyway, so this is like, people always think that there must be some great tapas. They talk about tapas. There must be lot of asceticism in order to discover I am Brahman. How can so easily? So how can one say that I am Brahman so easy? It looks as though Tattvamasi, it's all over, one sentence. It looks to be very easy. And because it is easy, and because we cannot accept anything easy, and even though we want some shortcuts, we don't want such a shortcut. Tattvamasi is too quick. It is too quick. I want it easy, but not like this. This is too quick. I am Brahman. Our orientation is always to do something. Adhikasya adhikam phalam. You do more and you get more. Here the problem is, I would say it is neither easy nor difficult. If it is easy, it's the result of an action. It is difficult, again it is a result of a lot of things. Which is not you are not a result. A result is produced. You are not produced. You are. Understand? You are. You are not produced. You are already there. You don't produce what is. You produce what is not. Or you produce what is out of what is something, if it has got certain attributes. But then you don't produce Brahman. Brahman is limitless. You can't produce limitless. And Brahman, if it is limitless, it has always been limitless. It cannot be limited now, become limitless later. And therefore, neither you produce anything upon Brahman. You are not improving Brahman. Swami, I am Brahman, all right. But then the Brahman has gathered a lot of dust. And I have to remove that. All that you will get all this. I have to remove all this. Therefore, we require cleansing. This is another thing. Vasanas are sitting upon Brahman itself. Then we have to remove all these vasanas. You are creating a new problem. It is a new philosophy. It has nothing to do with Vedanta. Nobody is going to do anything with that. How are you going to exhaust your vasanas? Vasanas, that means previously I had a simple problem. And I say these vasanas are the cause for it being an individual. The vasanas are the cause for an individual. Then what happens? Then the vasanas, then I ask, how much vasanas you have got? How many vasanas you have got? How much you have got vasanas? You don't know? Or you know, if you know, how much? When did I gather these vasanas? In this life or in previous lives? In this life you have gathered vasanas, then how come that I was born as an individual first place? Without vasanas? No, vasanas are the cause for Brahman to be born as an individual. If that is so, then when did these vasanas begin? Oh, they are beginningless. Therefore, how much vasanas I have got? In beginningless means infinite number of births. I had gathered vasanas, and these vasanas are infinite in number. How are you going to exhaust them? How will you exhaust them? Exhaust the vasanas. Vasanas are equivalent to karma. How can you exhaust the vasanas? Oh, I see katte se karne se ho jaye. So if you keep on doing something, it will not go. How will it go? You are giving a reality to a problem which does not exist. Vasana philosophy is entirely unknown to us. It has nothing to do with this. We say vasana, word vasana is used. That is purely in the sense of likes and dislikes. Vasana is a little more subtle in the sense that you still feel that the world will make me secure. This is called Vishaya Vasana. The body is me is called Deha Vasana. Pure ignorance. That Vasana is used there in the sense of ignorance and error. Vasana is used as error. What they call a dhyasa. And therefore, So it is not exhaustion of vasanas that is going to make you. Means you exhaust the vasanas, the pressure of vasana is gone, then Atma becomes buoyant. This is what they say. And so it is not true and it can never be true. Why? Because nobody can remove vasanas and the vasanas will ever remain the same. In fact, it is one of our objections. It's called Purvapaksha. One objectionist says, if I remove all my vasanas, karmas, then I will be released automatically. Then we argue, we create an objection like that and then say, that is not true because you can never eliminate karmas. Because if you accept that there are past karmas, then you are accepting infinite births before, means countless births before. If there are countless births, then there are countless karmas. How can you exhaust them? You can exhaust countless vasanas in countless, tell me, in countless births. In countless births. Because countless vasanas can be exhausted in countless births. And so in one birth you cannot do anything. And in the process, in one birth, all right, countless births at least I will exhaust. No, because in every new birth you will gather new vasanas. And therefore, it's a self-exhilarating process. And so you cannot do anything with it. But if the whole thing, suppose, is mithya, if it is purely born of ignorance and error, if you are already Brahman, it has never undergone any change at any time. Is what I said yesterday. And therefore, so if I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman, it has no vasanas, it has no karma, it is not subject to death. He says, this fellow asked this question, how can he say so? Because I feel I am a mortal. That the problem is only a feeling born out of again a mistake, and which explains here, all right. If you say I am a mortal, you are accepting death. That means, remember one thing, the problem of mortality does not belong to the body. The problem of mortality, the fact of mortality is there for the body. The problem of mortality, that I am a mortal, the body does not know, doesn't say. The body doesn't say that I am a mortal. Deho na janati, martyohamit. I am martyaha, I am mortal, the body doesn't say. Nor the mind says, I am a mortal. Mind is a thought. A thought is always objectifies something. It doesn't say, mind says, I am a mortal. But then you don't say also the mind, suppose you look at the mind as an object, means as something, the thoughts as objects, then none of them says, I am a mortal. But I say I am a mortal. Understand? I say I am a mortal. Any problem you take, it is always centered on I. Therefore, the problem of a human being is because he is a self-conscious being. And the self is looked upon by the self as a mortal. I am a mortal. And afraid of mortality. Death, change. Okay? Death especially. Change sometimes is welcome. But death is a problem. I don't want to be totally decimated. I don't want to erase myself totally. There is a love to be. This is an old problem. Therefore, that I am a mortal is a conclusion centered on I, and therefore the solution is either the mortal, I the mortal, okay, should become immortal, should become immortal, should become immortal, that's very enough, should become immortal. I the mortal should become immortal. Therefore, what do? I, the mortal, do 22 miles every day. So what? So I do 22 miles every day jogging. For what? For what? To be immortal. In fact, I don't know. You may be cutting down your longevity. 1 mile if you run and come, maybe you may lengthen your longevity. 22 miles means your body is not meant for that, I suppose. It is meant for, a horse can run that, 22 miles. Your body is not of a horse. 22 miles every day, and if you run, then you want to lengthen your life. All right, you lengthen your life how many years? 10 years, he said, 10 years. But 10 years, all these 10 years, daily 22 miles to run and come back, so many hours you spend in the street. So, if you calculate, the extra 10 years you lived in the street. And I am never convinced, I'm telling you one thing, I am never convinced by this lengthening the longevity of life. I'm never convinced. The fellow is an idiot. He can't get along with his wife. He is not happy with his mother. Nobody is happy with the mother these days because of your psychology. And so everybody says everything is traced to mother only. And the poor mother has to trace her problem to her mother. Then original mother is what? The Father in heaven. And so, and therefore, so the whole problem goes to the father, not to the mother. Understand? And anyway, so this is funny. Thus I cannot get along with my mother. I don't get along with my boss. I don't get along with my neighbor. I don't get along with my body too. I don't accept my body. So I have got so many problems. And then I want to lengthen my mortality. I say, lengthen my longevity. What for? I don't understand this. If you have not made it, by another 10 years suffering, what are you going to make? You are going to make some more 10 years more. You give problems to some 10 more years for others. Nothing more, 10 more years. Few more cows you will eat, nothing else. And so, what else? All for your sake, so many turkeys have to sacrifice their lives. And so many other, okay, anyway. And therefore, I don't understand this. By living another 10 years, 10 more years, what I am going to accomplish, or 20 years, what I am going to accomplish, or 50 years, what I am going to accomplish, I don't understand. Suppose I have already made it, I know that I am a free person, then there is no problem. So whether I live 10 years or 1 year or 3 years, it's okay as long as I am healthy, it's fine. Healthy because, well, if it is healthy, well, there is sense in living. And therefore you try to be healthy. This body is something that is subject to become ill, etc. You try to do something to be healthy. It is fine whether you turn macro or macro. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So as long as you can keep your body and soul together for some time, as long as it can last healthily, that's neat, no problem. But this I want to live immortal, I say you can never let you follow any exercise, yoga or anything, this body is not meant for that. Even though you say American cars have got a built-in problem, I mean to make it age and to get condemned. I tell you, in India, all these American cars for 40 years or 50 years are still running on the road. Even Model T we have got on the road, remember. And so Model T, Ford Model T, you will find that in India they are all neat, good condition, they all keep running. There is no tinkering. And so they keep it running. So they seem to be much more, even though they have built-in problem, but then they seem to be much more lasting than this physical body. This physical body has its own built-in problems as any other thing that is made. In fact, I tell you, if you put a few things together, the tendency is to get apart, for them to get apart. So anything put together, and you will find all of them become loose in a period of time. So these cars, old cars, when you sit in the car, you will find you can hear every spare part in the car. You can hear it, except the horn, everything makes noise. And so that's how, if you put together, the tendency is to get apart. That's what it is. We always try to find out good nuts and bolts. But then it turns into nuts and bolts. Anyway, so mortal is mortal. You are never going to make this I am mortal into I am immortal. Never. You are a mortal. Mortal means mortal all the time, dying every minute. It's not that one day you die. Death is all the time. And therefore, I am a mortal means mortal. Becoming immortal is impossible. Therefore, one fellow said, all right, let me accept my mortality. You can't accept. Because if you cultivate a desire, please understand this, if you cultivate a desire to accomplish something, to have something, that cultivated, picked up desire can be given up because it was picked up by you. If you have picked up a desire for, so moving for what you call traveling in space, in that Columbia, next space trip. So you want to go and come back. If you have got a desire for that, and then you find that it is risky, number one, or you felt, no, I don't have money for it, or you find there is too many applications, there is no chance of your getting it, whatever. Now, if you think that you can't get into that, you can grow out of that desire. You can say, forget it, grapes are sour anyway. You can become the wise fox. You can say it's okay, further you can get out of it. We have all grown out of a number of desires. We have dropped them, we don't even think about. And here, that I am mortal, the fear of mortality, is something that is innate in every I. It is not something that is cultivated by this I, picked up by the I on a given particular day. The instinct for survival is something that is inborn. Whether it is a bug or a plant or a human being, anything alive on this earth doesn't want to commit harikari, wants to always live and sustain itself. To be is a natural love. And therefore, so I am mortal, I cannot accept this fact. The problem is I cannot accept this fact because my tendency is to be free from mortality. Postpone death as long as I can. What all I can do? Because the love for living, love for being, to be, is very natural. And so, understand now, I am immortal, cannot become immortal by a process of becoming whatever diet, whatever system of exercise I follow. And if that is true, then there is no way of escaping this fear of death, unless if there is a freedom from the fear of death. The freedom should be what? Tell me. The freedom lieth in this way, that is, perhaps, this is possible, perhaps I am immortal. I am immortal. But I think I am a mortal. Okay? Therefore, it's a sense. I am a mortal is a sense. Is a thought. That is why in sleep there is no fear of death. Because mind has gone, it is a sense. Suppose I am immortal. I think that I am mortal. Now all that I have got to do is what? I should what? You may say, you should think that I am immortal. No. You should think that is called hypnotism. Okay? So if you are a mortal, if you now you think I am a mortal, If the fact is I am immortal, it is not that you think that I am immortal. I should know I am immortal. It is not self-hypnotism. You hypnotize yourself into a new belief from one, even though it is true to the fact, but still it is a belief, you don't know it. And therefore, I am immortal. If it is a fact, it is to be discovered. The objection here is, Brahman is eternal, immortal. I am, after all, a mortal. I am a mortal. Therefore, how can I be free from this mortality? And how can I be Brahman which is immortal? In other words, how can I be that Brahman which is immortal? Next question. For which he says, all right, what is death? He says, what is death? Now he says, I am mortal. When you say, then I is subject to death. I is subject to death. Okay? I am subject to death. That is all the problem. I am subject to death. Now I means Atma. This is what they say. One fellow says, Atma is mortal. That's a conclusion. It is a particular school of thought with elaborate what you call organization. And the school of thought is Atma is continuously it is dying. Atma is consciousness, all right, Chit, consciousness, but this Chit, what happens? It goes on dying. So Nitya, it is called Nitya, Anityatvam, Atmanaha. So Atma is all the time dying. That is, if at all there is any permanence about it, or constancy about this Atma, it keeps on dying. Atma is nothing but flickers of consciousness. That means Swataha, by itself, listen to this, death can happen by itself. By itself, the self itself is dying, like time. Itself is dying all the time. And like a fruit, by itself, just remaining there itself, it dies away. And similarly, Atma is something that consciousness by itself is a dying consciousness. Now consciousness gone. Another consciousness comes now. That's also gone. Therefore, constantly it is a flux. Not flux, constantly it is dying. And therefore, so Atma Swataha by itself dies. Death is possible for Atma, either by itself dying, like in the cell itself dying, like time itself dying. You don't require anything else to make it die. Okay? So itself dying, or something else destroys it. Okay? Swataha nashyati. Itself dies. Death is only this way possible. Either itself it dies, or because of something else dies. Like even a physical body is slain. It is killed, murdered. You destroy, a pot is destroyed by breaking the pot. Thus, because of any other engine of destruction, the object dies. Either object without any other thing, any other force requiring, itself dies. Or the death takes place because of interference of another force, an external force. Or, he says, you take away its basis, it loses itself. Like this cloth is gone if I take away the threads. The threads are gone if I take away the fibers. Means a form which is there in a given form, you take away the ashraya, the basis on which the thing is there, you will find it is gone. So similarly, this cloth, it loses its existence if I take away the threads. Its form is gone. What do you call cloth is gone? Pata is gone. when the patashraya means the ashraya, the basis of pata, the basis of cloth which is the thread is taken away. So tantu dahe pata dahaha. When I burn the threads, I suppose you decide to burn the threads. One fellow says, what are you doing? I am burning all the threads. He said, doesn't matter, save my cloth. It doesn't matter, I am not interested in the thread. All I am interested is in the cloth. You can burn the thread, but save my cloth. Thus, there are three types of death. There is no fourth type of death. Think about it. Either itself dies, or because of another force makes it die. Or you don't bring in another force. All that you do is you remove the basis. Simply remove the threads. There is no really, nothing is dead, really speaking. You remove the threads, cloth is gone. Thread is there, cloth is there. You put things together and you remove them, car is gone. You remove the tires and you remove the things that are there in the car, there is nothing, there is no car. And thus, so by removal of the ashraya, you find what is ashrita is gone. So these are the three. Now he says, Atma is Brahman. Atma is Brahman. Why do you say so? Because it doesn't die. Brahman does not die. Atma does not die. How do you say so? Ata siddham aham brahma satchidananda lakhmi. It goes on repeating itself. The first line. Therefore it is established, I am Brahman. Why? Brahman is Nityam, Atma is Nitya. There is no second Nitya. There is only one Nitya, that is Atma, which is Brahman. Okay, how? Tell me. He says, Atma na nashyati snaswataha pratyabhijnanat. He says, if Atma is, as we have seen, is consciousness, nothing else can be Atma. Everything else I know is I know, and therefore it is Anatma. If consciousness is the Atma, the knower's content is the Atma, then if that Atma swataha by itself, if it keeps dying, you can never say that I am flickers of consciousness. You can never say. Why? Why, tell me? To say I am flickers of consciousness, there should be pratyabhijna. Pratyabhijna means there should be a retention of the I. You must recollect the I. Then only you can say there must be an observer common to all flickers of consciousness. The dead flicker of consciousness cannot say that I am dead. Like me, you will also die. The dead flicker of consciousness, dead and gone, he is not going to address the new flicker of consciousness to point out that you are a flicker. That flicker itself, the present flicker, cannot say I am a flicker unless it flickers away. If it flickers away, it is not there to know that I am a flicker. If it remains now, it cannot say I am a flicker until it dies. And how do you know that I am a flicker of consciousness? That is not possible because pratyabhijnanat, the various flickers of thought processes happen in my mind. And I always say there is pratyabhijna. When there is mentation, I say that the one who thought before is the one who is thinking this. The one who saw is the one who hears. I is always retained. The one who was young is one who is old. I is always retained. Because I is never, it is not that there is one young I, that I is gone, there's a new I means what? Nobody grows old. I will remain the same, if I is not retained in all the experiences. In fact, I is like the golden string that holds together all the flowers of all experiences. Sutramiva. As I is something that holds together all the experiences. And then I say I am this, I am that, etc. From that very fact, I am retained all the way. That is why when you ask that old man, when did you come? Or did you have your lunch? He will start. Because old man, so nobody talks to him anything. Nobody asks him a question. So that now you are kind enough to ask a question, how are you and all that. So did you have your lunch? He starts from his first marriage onwards. So he tells, then only you will come to the lunch. And well, so in those days when I was married to this woman at this time, so I used to have my lunch at this time. He starts like that. And so then when second marriage came by that time, so he changed, I went to business, and therefore my time was not proper, and so then second marriage he talks about. Then afterwards he tells, all that you asked for, did you have your lunch? Just, you want to ask something, you have to ask something anyway. And so you asked him something, did you have your lunch? It's not that you are going to give him lunch or anything, just you said, did you have your lunch? And now he starts with the old thing. Why? Pratyabhijnana. Because of the I being retained. The one who was young is the one who is now, that the body has grown, has changed all right. But the young man is the one, the old man in between. The I is never given up, thank God. If I is given up, you never grow old also. You never become wiser. So one day, so in this minute, you have got one experience. This minute you have experience, that is gone. Next minute another experience. Therefore you will be what? Always 1 minute old. 1 minute old means you don't know anything. You don't know anything. You cannot know anything. Innocent. Ignorance. It is not true. The I is always there. Therefore, swataha atmanaha na nasaha pratyabhijnanat na swataha pratyabhijnanate. Because I being recollected all the time, therefore Atma cannot be flickers of consciousness. I have given other reasons also. One flicker cannot say that I am a flicker. Old flicker cannot say, dead flicker cannot say, present flicker cannot say. Therefore I am a flicker goes like that argument, I am flicker, goes like a flicker. Really, it is true. And so, Chit, I am flickers of consciousness is very silly. Pratyabhijnana. I cannot die that way. All right. Swamiji, Atma is destroyed. By what? By, you can poison the Atma. You will poison the Atma. Why not? Poison the Atma completely, and then your consciousness slowly dies away. Poison the consciousness. Or rub the consciousness off. Or you destroy the consciousness, slay the consciousness into pieces, cut the consciousness into pieces. Then what will happen? Consciousness is gone. Remove the head of the consciousness. The problem is, he says, the poor consciousness doesn't have any such limbs that you can do something. And therefore he says, Naswatah pratyabhijnanat, and again, Niramshatvat nachanyataha. Niramshatvat anyataha na nasaha. And anyataha means from another source, like you slay a body. So by what do you call, by shooting the fellow or by any other means, by burning him or whatever. So by another source, you can objectify a body. A sword can objectify another body which has got limbs. And suppose you disrupture particular, if you rupture a particular important limb, that body is dead, it's gone. A pot is there, is destroyed, so the form is destroyed by just banging it. Similarly, the consciousness, if it has got a head consciousness, you can slay the head of consciousness. It has no form. You cannot destroy that in any way. What will you do? Even space cannot be destroyed. He's going to tell that later. You try to destroy space. Let us talk about this later. Your next verse he tells that. You try to destroy space, burn space. Can you do that? Let us burn the space. You can't do it. Let us drown the space. Let us shoot the space down. Let us cut the space into pieces. You can't do that. What can you do? You can't do anything. Even this space you cannot do. And what can you do? With things which are mithya. Anyaha means all other things are mithya. Atma is satyam, the consciousness. With mithya you are going to deal with satyam? Kya baat hai? How are you going to deal with satyam with the mithya? So with mithya you are going to deal with satyam? You are not going to deal with satyam like something like, so with a dream sword, you know, you got a sword from God Indra, one sword. With the dream, in the dream you got this sword, and you are going to destroy your fellow here, your enemy, your brother-in-law. And so you take that sword and goes after him. And I'm killing you, etc. Do you know where will you end up? Yeah, not in jail. When in jail? So you are violently mad. You are mad and violent. Got a special institution. And therefore, because that is mithya sword, will not, that mithya sword, this is satyam, means comparatively, relatively. That is mithya sword, will not do anything to this satyam man. Similarly, all your engines of destruction are mithya. And we are dealing among themselves, they are okay. The dream sword will be good enough to destroy a dream brother-in-law, but not the waking one. And similarly, this world that is mithya, depending upon satyam, what can it do to the satyam? It cannot do anything. Like even the chain which is dependent upon gold cannot do anything to gold. Chain says, one day I will destroy you. Wait, one day I destroy you. And all that the chain cannot do anything, because chain is not another one existing like gold to destroy the gold, therefore. So he says, anyataha, it is not possible because niramshatvat. One argument he gives here is niramshatvat. Since the Atma being free from all limbs, niramshatvat nacha anyataha. From another source, it is not possible for Atma to get destroyed. Because consciousness has no head, no tail, so you can cut the head and tail, etc., and it dies away. Or heart, if it has got amsa, you know, the consciousness has got its own body. It has got a heart of its own. And if that is so, then you can shoot the heart, then finish, gone. But there is no such thing. And another thing, how are you going to objectify consciousness? You know, consciousness objectifies everything. How are you going to objectify consciousness? When you objectify consciousness, in fact, consciousness, you objectify everything. What do you objectify depends upon the consciousness. How this is going to, how a thought or an object of thought is going to destroy consciousness, which is a subject, which is the very content of all this. And therefore, there is no way, by another source, it cannot be destroyed. Okay? All right. We will remove the basis of consciousness. That is easy. Like even, so ashraya nashat, ashrita nashat. So by removing the basis, what is based is finished. Like even, so the cloth is finished by removing the threads. Okay? A shirt is finished by removing all the stitches. You remove all the stitches, you will have some rags. All that you have only rags. So pieces of cloth and rags, it will be no shirt. The shirt is gone by removing the stitches. Similarly, so here ashraya is removed, then the ashrita, especially the cloth thread is better. Similarly, I will remove the basis of consciousness, and consciousness is gone. No. Anashrayat. Anashrayat. The chain is removed by removing the gold. Gold is removed by bringing it again, If you take away all the atoms, gold is gone. You take away the particles, atom is gone. There is no atom. Like that. Now similarly, so if Atma, consciousness, has got its own basis, then you remove the basis away, then consciousness is gone. Keep on disintegrating it, then you can remove the basis of consciousness, then consciousness is gone. What is the basis of consciousness? Now, that's where we commit mistake. We think basis of consciousness is brain, which is not true. The brain is upadhi. So this is where the difference all comes. If the basis of consciousness is brain, you remove the brain, consciousness goes. Then we have a lot of problems. Then brain becomes Satyam. Then that becomes Satyam means then it is always Nityam. A lot of other problems will come. We will see that later. Now therefore, here the consciousness is not based anywhere. In consciousness is all, anything that is in consciousness. All the cells are in consciousness. Every cell is, that is Sat Atma. And if it has an element of consciousness, it is again Chit Atma. And if there is something inside which makes the cell alive, that prana, that also life, that also the same Satchidatma alone. That is the creation. Therefore consciousness doesn't have any other basis. If consciousness has a basis, why not, Swamiji? Why not? When we are going like this, so what is the, generally a question is asked like this. So, what is the basis of your body? I say, the basis of the body, where is your body placed? You say, on the earth. Where the earth is placed? In space. Where the space is placed? In the mind. Where the space is placed where? In the mind. Where the mind is placed? The concept of space is in the mind, of course, that is the mind. Then where the mind is placed? The mind is placed, it was said there in one place, in consciousness. Where is consciousness is placed? Don't ask question, your head will split. That is the answer given in Brihadaranyaka. So don't ask any more question, your head will split, he says. Will burst. So don't ask any more question. In the sense, it is a silly question. And so why? Because consciousness cannot have a basis for all these things or I am conscious of. If consciousness has a basis, then there must be another consciousness to be conscious of this consciousness. There is no such thing, another consciousness. Why not, Swamiji? Supra-consciousness. So the infra-consciousness has got its basis in supra-consciousness. This is called Pondicherry philosophy. So the infra-consciousness has got its basis in supra-consciousness. How did you know there is supra-consciousness? How did you know there is supra-consciousness? It is all from the infra-consciousness. The infra-consciousness projects the supra-consciousness. Understand? And therefore you project there is a supra-consciousness. How do you know that? How do you know there is supra-consciousness? I have figured it out. Okay. Then who is that figuring out fellow? He must be supra-supra. He must be super-supra. Or if he is the infra-consciousness thinks of a supra-consciousness, means think of that. What kind of supra it is? Another infra. The infra-consciousness cannot think of a supra-consciousness. It is only a thought, and therefore all that is there is infra it is. It is a further concept of an infra-consciousness cannot be supra. And if you are able to conceive a supra-consciousness, you are super-supra. You must be more than that. What I say is, there is no such thing as supra-consciousness or infra-consciousness. There is only consciousness. Everything else, supra, infra, ultra consciousness, very modern consciousness, so very modern. So modern consciousness. And then it's modern how there's a way of talking, there's a way of moving around. We are very modern, highly modernized and highly educated. There's a way. And so they are called ultra conscious. So there's only consciousness. In the Mandukya it is said, Nantah prajnam, na bakif prajnam, no bhayata prajnam, na prajnanaganam, na prajnam, na aprajnam. It's a thorough thing it is. What is this Atma? I said, it is not waking consciousness. Oh, maybe dream consciousness. It is not dream consciousness. Oh, it is in between maybe. It is neither in between consciousness, neither dream nor waking in between. No, it is not the twilight consciousness. Then, oh, it may be sleeping consciousness. No, it is neither sleeping consciousness. Oh, that means it is consciousness which is aware of all the three at the same time, all the four at the same time. No, na prajnam, yugapat chaitanyam. It is not simultaneously aware of all the four, because only at one time one thing is there. And therefore it is neither all consciousness. No. Okay, now I know what. It is unconsciousness. No. Now look, it is neither na prajnam. Neither it is unconsciousness. If it is not unconsciousness, it is consciousness. If it is consciousness, it should be waking consciousness. No, it is consciousness but not waking. It is consciousness, not dream. It is consciousness, not sleep. It is consciousness, it is not in between. Then why do you negate all this? Because every one of them depends upon consciousness. You take the waking consciousness as yourself. Therefore I have to negate. Where consciousness is, when waking is, therefore I say consciousness is not waking consciousness. Waking gone. Dream gone. No, dream gone. In between gone. Sleep gone. Then what? It is unconsciousness gone. All consciousness gone. All gone. Then what is it? Tell me now. What is it? It is conscious. Limitless. It is simple consciousness. That is why it's very important. You have to eliminate. Because consciousness is present in waking. The people don't understand this. They always think, we have to reach the transcendental consciousness. Not knowing what they are talking. I say, there is no such thing as transcendental consciousness. In fact, there is immanent consciousness. There is transcendental consciousness. In the sense, the consciousness is when you see me, consciousness is. When you hear me, consciousness is. When you smell, taste, think, consciousness is. You remove any one of them, consciousness is. So that's why that day I told you, you take perception-wise, thought-wise, and you take one waking state-wise, and then, or dream state-wise, or you take whole-wise, consciousness is all the time. That consciousness, not subject to time, etc. It doesn't have a basis. It is the basis of all your experiences. And not only basis, the content of all your experiences. And therefore, it naturally transcends everything. And also it is in everything. It is immanent and transcendent. Matstani sarva bhutani, naka matstani bhutani. Everything has its being in me. In fact, I am free from everything. Understand that position? It's very clear. And therefore, he says, Nacha ashraya vinashan me vinashasyad anashrayate. So vinashaha nasyat. For me vinashaha nasyat. So for me, there is no vinasha. Me means Atma. For me, there is no vinasha, destruction. Because of the removal of the basis of me, because I have no basis. I am baseless. Okay? I am baseless. If I have got a basis, then that will have a basis, that will have a basis. There will be no creation. There will be nothing that will exist. Nothing, there is no stability. Even the unstable world has a stability. That it is unstable is stable. And therefore, there is a stability there. In all your experiences, even though they change, there is a stability there. What is that? There is something which never undergoes any change. That becomes like even, in whether it is a roller coaster, so the rails themselves on which the roller coaster is moving around, that should not also move. If that also moves in the same speed, there will be no roller coaster. You will be sitting in the same place, going somewhere. And so that should not move anywhere. That should remain. Then only the changes. Or in a merry-go-round, the central pole should not go. If that also moves, it doesn't work. It should not move. And everything else, there should be moved. Something must be there as a centralist, something must be there standing, then all changes. So all these strings of, all these varieties of experiences are strung together and held together. So by something that is common, by the invariable, and the invariable is consciousness. Therefore I am, when you say I, it means that conscious. It has no hurt, it has no guilt, that consciousness I am. It is not subject to destruction. Therefore Brahman is eternal. Therefore I am what? Eternal. Therefore I am Brahman. Everything else is non-eternal. Understand? Everything else, including ignorance, is non-eternal. Ignorance has no beginning. Ignorance cannot begin. If ignorance begins, do you know what happens? If ignorance begins, before the beginning of ignorance, what was there? Knowledge. The opposite. Ignorance begins means previously ignorance was not. Just now ignorance is born. That means ignorance was not before. Ignorance was not means knowledge was. If knowledge is, there would be no ignorance. Ignorance has no beginning. Now you can conclude. Ignorance is beginningless. Ignorance is endless. He gives me a piece of knowledge, teaching me to remove my ignorance. And he says, ignorance is beginningless. Ignorance is endless. Then why do you talk about it? Unless you want to educate me. If you are going to educate me, you are removing my ignorance. If you are removing my ignorance, then your ignorance is what? Ignorance is subject to disappearance. Ignorance is non-eternal. But it is beginningless. Yes, it is beginningless. But anything is beginningless is endless. Need not be. Why should it be? But should it not be? Hey, it is not. It is not like that. What can we do for that? Ignorance is beginningless, but it ends. What can we do for that? Therefore, you have to find out the logic on the basis of experience. And you should not find out a logic something without experience and then ask me to accept the experience suited to that. It's a silly thing it is. All your logic and conclusion based upon your experience. And therefore my experience, blessed thing is, ignorance is right now and goes. And I never created ignorance anyway. I find myself born with ignorance. And so I find ignorance keeps going all the time. Therefore ignorance is beginningless but ends. That's why I can teach. If it is endless ignorance, do you know what will happen? We will all be inborn baby. No, born whatever. In fact, even the born baby will have some knowledge. Even that knowledge you cannot have. And so, ignorance goes. Only one thing is beginningless and endless. What is that? Brahman. That is Atma, consciousness. There is only one thing in the world which is beginningless and endless. And everything else is in time. It goes away. Anything goes away, well, it's subject to time. And therefore, Aham, he says, Aham Brahma, Atas Siddham Aham Brahma, Satchidananda Lakshanam. Therefore, it is established, I am Brahman, which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam, which is eternal Brahman. One objection, answer. Like this we will be removing one by one. Okay? Now lunch.